Our beloved Warzone came out on the 10th of March 2020 with its map Verdansk, and at long last, a new map is coming out in just a few weeks called Caldera alongside the launch of Vanguard. Verdansk underwent a lot of changes and has for the most part been amazing, particularly at a time when most people needed a distraction. So join me in my nostalgia trip as we explore exactly how Verdansk has changed since its release to the public last year and its stay through 2 whole Call of Duties, those being Modern Warfare and Cold War. We'll start by taking a look at how it looked for the very first time during Season 2 of Modern Warfare. It really looked and felt like a huge ground war map of Modern Warfare, and that's because it essentially was. There was lots of Modern Warfare maps sewn together to make this amazing Battle Royale experience. The original list of points of interest are varied, and I'm sure showing you this opening cutscene and original map is getting some of you feeling nostalgic already. As we got into Season 3, a bunker system came online where you could access them with red access cards, where you could gain access to legendary loot and score streaks. There was one bunker during Season 3 though that ended up receiving way more attention than any other, and that was Bunker 11 near Military Base. This bunker required a completion of an Easter egg, and red access cards did not help here. The Bunker 11 Easter egg required you to gather up a sequence of numbers using phones that would ring throughout the map. I'm not going to go into exactly how you do it since it's pretty redundant now, but once you did go to the phones in the correct order, the bunker would be available to open for your team. The rewards for getting in this bunker were high tier loot, lots of cash and score streaks, and a blueprint for an MP7. Lastly, you also got to take a look at some story elements to Warzone, and glance at what appeared to be nuclear warheads. In terms of visual above ground map changes though, Season 3 was pretty dry. In Season 4, not much changed at all. Some train tracks were added but not an actual train, but thankfully we did get a few walkable routes near rocky and steep areas, so we didn't just get stuck at the bottom of hills as often. Sounds ridiculous now, but it really was a nice change, and of course rocks are still a real pain even now, even with our elite military operators. Season 4 wasn't all bad though, we did get Captain Price popping by. Now on to Season 5, where this really felt like the big content update during the Modern Warfare era of Verdansk. When Season 5 came around, the stadium roof was blown up, and we could actually go inside it for the very first time. This opened up a part of the map that was previously essentially just nothing, but now there's way more loot areas and rooms than ever before. The stadium opening up also paved the way for another Easter egg and another blueprint by gaining access to the main conference room, which granted you the Enigma CR56 AMAX blueprint. On the theme of being able to get inside of more areas, this was the first season we could get inside of Train Station 2, giving that area of the map some more interest and verticality. So more and more areas were now playable, giving each game more variation. Oh yeah, we also got the train added to the tracks, which roams endlessly throughout the map. This was, and is, actually a great small addition to the map, giving you loot, occasional cover, and travel possibilities. In addition to this, throughout many areas of the map, zip rope ascenders up buildings were added as an alternative to stairs or elevators. Again, this was kind of a small addition, but actually had pretty big impacts on gameplay in certain areas. Previously to this, many areas were nearly impossible to attack because there would only be 1 or 2 ways in. These ropes enabled another route of entry to rooftops and kept people on their toes. Finally, for Season 5, areas around the map, including some additional bunkers, were now accessible through access codes. And these access codes were the same every single game and never changed. So these bunkers became super popular areas to swoop down at the start of games and try to get stacked loot. And then there was Season 6, the final content season for Modern Warfare. During this season, subway stations were added to the game that allowed fast travel throughout many areas, including airports, downtown, train station, and many more. Not only was this a great new addition that allowed fast travel, the subway stations themselves offered decent loot and extra areas to play. The subway system also played a part in the new Easter egg, where a sequence of numbers needed to be ascertained from paintings in downtown, which then allowed you to ride a secret subway carriage to a secret location at the dam, which then gave you god tier loot such as juggernauts and specialist tokens, as well as the Firebrand Bruin blueprint. These subway stations were the only major map change during Season 6. Then came Black Ops Cold War's time in Warzone. As Season 1 hit, a lot of excitement surrounded this moment, and unfortunately not much changed on Verdansk at all. We got a whole new alternative map in Rebirth Island, which was great, but not much at all on the main Verdansk map. It was only in Season 2 of Cold War when things started changing. During Season 2, the underground subway system was sealed off, and a new point of interest came too in the form of Shipwreck, which had zombies on it and plenty of loot in an area where previously was just a no man's land near prison. In addition, Season 2 brought with it 3 new bunkers and silos dotted around the map with decent loot in them as well. There was a new bunker under Airport, a silo near the Monument southwest of Military Base, and a silo at the Monument near Promenade. As Season 2 came to a close, it was evident that Verdansk as we knew it may be ending with a nuke strike, and this was due to zombies overrunning the place. This culminated in a live event, and following the nuke strike was the true beginning of Cold War's time with Warzone. In Season 3, we went back in time to Verdansk 1984, and although the changes weren't as big as some people thought or wanted, there was quite a few elements that had changed. The dam was now Gora Summit, with a huge bridge going across that area too, giving that part of the map a much needed interest boost. The airport was slightly updated, it now had a fully intact roof, there was an extra exit to the underpass, and there was a couple of more planes dotted around. Stadium was now in a half-built state, but still kept its verticality somewhat, with different corridors and rooms underneath the main seating and commentary box areas. Quarry was replaced by Salt Mine. The huge tall glass broadcast tower in downtown now became an under-construction version, where the top few floors were all new and allowed for some interesting gunfights. There was also Grid Array Tower and Factory, which were just pure additions to Verdansk and didn't edit anything existing. An old mine was added way out in the middle of nowhere for desperate players fresh out of the gulag. Superstore had a nice facelift but nothing major. There was also a few more minor additions and buildings throughout the map, including Standoff in Krovnik farmland. Generally, the whole map had a colour palette change and had a Cold War themed freshen up. Oh, and lots more ladders around. I don't know what was supposedly going on in the 80s, but people needed to get on rooftops a lot more. Following the initial map changes, there was another tweak to downtown, with the large glass broadcast tower completely being replaced by Nakatomi Plaza from Die Hard. This was during the 80s action movie event. This contained a great Easter egg where you could gain access to the vault for specialist tokens and lots of cash. The 80s movie event also had some minor changes to the map, such as survivor camps dotted around, in the theme of Rambo. With all that went on in Season 3, maybe it was no surprise that Season 4 was a little quieter. Season 4 had the Groundfall event, which included satellites crashing down onto the map, giving little bits of extra cover and loot sparsely put around the map. So this was pretty much it for built-up map changes. But there were also red doors added for a fast travel system, which was pretty unpredictable but could offer amazing loot and a chance to get to the other side of the map fast. Season 5 was a similar story. There were minimal changes, with broadcast stations being the main additions. They didn't really do much, but if you were the first to get there in a game, you would get $5,000 for your troubles. There was also a slight change to the red doors, as they now took you to a red door corridor, where you had to choose the correct one to gain access to a loot room, or it would spit you back out into the middle of nowhere in the air. Lastly, in Season 5, there were cargo crates with generators in them that basically did nothing other than be annoying audio. Finally, we're on to Season 6 of Cold War, the last Cold War season before Vanguard's reign and a brand new map next month. Season 6 had some more substantial changes, with the biggest map changes being caused by earthquakes. Downtown got partially flattened, and many areas of the map have big tears through them. The semi-destruction of downtown was actually a great addition, which took some of the height of tall buildings away, which were pretty much the same since day one of Verdansk. And not only did it take these buildings down, it also added underground areas that were full of destruction and, quite nicely, mid to high tier loot. The extra areas affected by the ground tears also gave more loot and, more importantly, more areas to take cover and change up gunfights, other than being exposed and in the open. On top of all this destruction, 3 World War II bunkers were also added. They have decent loot, but that's kind of it. They don't seem to have any other major story implications. These were added to Airport, Boneyard, and south of Salt Mine. Despite them not being major though, they do fill up some empty voids on the map, and could assist you in getting out of tricky spots. So they're all the major map changes that have happened to Verdansk. We saw the conception and birth of it from Modern Warfare, then the prequel events of Verdansk with Stitch and Adler and Cold War themes in 1984. Looking back now, there were many changes, with some being bigger and more important than others, but let me know down in the comments. What was your favourite change of Verdansk, and why? Bye for now.